this racetrack because these two horses aren't front runners. They're going to be in that. War of Will be a little closer to the front. He'll leave for position, find where he wants to sit at. I think he'll be sitting probably fourth or fifth. And Tacitus, his game plan for me, if I'm Ortiz, I'm looking at War of Will, and I'm putting my horse right on War of Will's flank, and I'm going to follow him around the racetrack, and then make my move at the top of the stretch.
Okay, so they're going to get in position, possibly closer to the rail, right?
Yes.
Obviously, when everybody goes out. Who are we? Well, let's just get right into the horses we don't like here. And you just already mentioned that Jolie is gonna have his quarter mile of fame and then be completely overmatched. Who else are we throwing out of this race off our tickets?
Off of our tickets, that's the only horse that I really say has no shot of winning the race. My second horse, and I just, I hate to say this because I don't want to have this horse beat me a second time, but, I just don't see how Everfast gets in here. Now, Everfast, beautiful trip for second, had Joel Rosario on him, and that was the first time that Rosario had rode the horse, and it was a big upgrade, putting him on the horse. So let's give him the big jump. But you want to talk about buyer speed figures. Before he got his 96 in the Preakness, finishing second, his two races before that were 74s and 79s. I mean, he was no factor at all, and that's why I questioned even putting him in the Preakness. But this was a horse that, Del Roman's journeyman trainer in this industry. He put the horse in. He thought he had a shot, and, he proved us all wrong. It took a perfect, trip for him to get there, to get second, but he did. But I think he's going to miss Rosario not riding him this time. And Rosario's riding somebody else in here, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Might be that long shot horse we're talking about. I'm not sure.
Oh, right. There we go again.
Yeah. So if you asked me to pitch a second horse, it would be Everfast.
All right, so that'd be your second pitch. But obviously, most of this field, like you said before, average field, all about the same. Nobody sticks out, which makes it a lot more kind of interesting, really. I remember that one year California Chrome, was going for the Triple Crown, and everyone was on Chrome, and that didn't happen. The people that faded California Chrome really seemed to win out. So sometimes it works out like that. But with this, we might as well get right into it, Marco. Who are your long shots or your actual long shot horse that you're taking?
Well, I got one long shot horse that I'm going to talk to you about, and if you haven't figured it out yet from all of the clues above, it is number 7, Sir Winston. And this horse just, we talk about these young horses that sometimes a light bulb, just goes off, and they get that big race and they make that big jump. And he did that in his last race. And you want to talk about a big jump? He went from a 65 buyer speed figure in the Bluegrass to a 100 in the Peter Pan. He had Joel Rosario on him for the first time in the Peter Pan. And we told you how much he stepped up Everfast whenever he jumped on him in the Preakness and got the second. He did the same thing with this horse in the Peter Pan. Sat back, sat fifth, 10, 11 lengths off the pace, and rallied to be second. But the big thing is we're coming off a monster speed figure. We're coming off first time he rode the horse, how well the horse responded, and we always talk about how good a horse is going to jump with a jockey change like that. Well, it's still going to be even better in the second start because, as much as the talent level that maybe he jumped from the previous jockey, he still wasn't familiar with the horse. So after sitting on the horse for the first time, he's going to learn more about that horse too, and maybe better prepared on when he might want to make his move or whatever. But the big thing about the Peter Pan Stakes is, where's it held at? Belmont. This horse ran his last race over the Belmont racetrack, got to experience Big Sandy, raced well over Big Sandy, and more importantly, Joel Rosario knows when to time that move over the Big Sandy track, and I think you're going to see that same type of ride on Saturday in the Belmont, and I think he's a horse that if he duplicates that last race, is going to hit the ticket at a price.
Well, how far was the Peter Pan? How long
The
was it?
Peter Pan race is a mile and an eighth, so more like the standard racers, and that would be like the Preakness race that the other horses did. So, but he does have the breeding to get the distance from the sire and dam here. So this is a horse that comes out of the sire is out of Deputy Minister, which was a good horse sire-wise, and we all remember the mare is out of a Fleet Alex, and Fleet Alex was a super, was a horse that competed on the Triple Crown Trail, and won. That was Fleet Alex, if I remember correctly, is the horse that actually in the race coming out of the gate went to his knee and still got up and still was able to race well in that race, and I think he actually come back and won it. So very good breeding on him, and Joel Rosario, very good jockey and knows the New York circuit.
Well, there you go, right there. You got the hot track and the hot jockey right there. Very nice. I wonder if he's going to close off at 12-1, or if there's going to be some other people on that. I
think there's going to probably be some other people on. He's been training well, and coincidentally enough, he is also a horse trained by Mark Cassie, who happens to also be the trainer of War of Will. And, when we were talking about, the Preakness race and setting things up, we had talked about a horse having, a trainer having two horses in there, and one of them being in there as a rabbit, to help the other one, and that's what we were talking about with the Owendale horse. That wouldn't be the case here, because this is not a horse that's in here as a rabbit. This is a horse that races from off the pace. So he's not a horse that's in there to help War of Will, okay? He's in there because his style of racing fits this race, and Mark Cassie, wouldn't put him in there if he didn't think he had a shot, and, so he's got two legitimate shots in there, and so we might have a Mark Cassie exacta box somewhere around our tickets. There's a little hint there as well.
Well, that would be awesome. Yeah, I believe it. And no, that's awesome. Did Joel Rosario choose Sir Winston over Everfast? Then did he have the option?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That tells you a little bit too. I remember when Mike Smith, chose. The Kentucky Derby favorite. What was his name again?
Improbable.
Yeah. He. Yeah.
Oh no, he was on the other one. Whenever the Derby, Mike Smith, the horse that got scratched, Omaha Beach.
Yeah, Omaha Beach. There you go. So I don't know how. Yeah, that's how long ago this feels.
Yeah. I had to think of him too, because he ended up with he wasn't going to get him out in the Derby.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of the same thing. The jockey chooses the horse he feels most comfortable with as he gets on this one horse at the Peter Pan, and all of a sudden, boom. So I love what you're thinking on Sir Winston right there. That's some great advice. Is there any other favorites that you like? I mean, obviously Tacitus, a lot of buzz on him. What are your thoughts?
Tacitus, I think, is the horse to beat. Tacitus is going to be situated throughout this race in the perfect spot. He's going to be off the pace, but he's going to be, more importantly, just off of War of Will. So when War of Will makes his move, Tacitus is going to have him right in his, eyesight and be looking to move with him. And as I said, what I think is going to do War of Will in is the 3 races in 5 weeks. The freshness of Tacitus and the fact that Tacitus did finish 4th in the Derby. Okay, let's not forget that he, it wasn't like he didn't race well in the Derby. This is a horse that raced well just like War of Will did. And he took the Preakness off to get freshened up. So, if you're going to compare apples to apples, both of those horses raced good in the Derby. Yes, War of Will was interfered with and came back and raced super in the Preakness, but he got a perfect trip in the Preakness, and the field wasn't as strong. I think Tacitus is going to be able to turn the tables on War of Will Saturday, and I think the two of them will be horses that will be turning for home together, and I think it could be a nice duel, but I think at the end you're going to see Tacitus, who is better bred for this distance, and his trainer, Bill Mott. This is the race going in that, they were pointing to the Belmont. I mean, this horse was he's perfectly bred for the Belmont. The fact they skipped the Preakness tells you they were looking for the Belmont, and he still almost was very competitive in the Derby, which would have given Belmont his first Kentucky Derby winner. He ended up getting his first Kentucky Derby winner, but he was the trainer also of Country House that got the Derby win by default. So everything's just lining up. I think the cards are set up perfectly for Tacitus to get the win on Saturday.
Well, there you go right there. It looks like Tacitus, Sir Winston will definitely be on your cards there. And obviously a little bit of War Will there with the same trainer.
Yeah. And then for the guys, after that, you asked me to, throw horses out. I think after that, the rest of the field is so competitive that anybody can make the third spot. So you always ask me about, how we're going to attack this race. That's my key horse is Tacitus, and my next two horses are War of Will and Sir Winston. And then after that, we're going to use that combination, but then we're going to have a lot of tickets that are going to have the old word all on the third button. Because I don't want to see that horse that never left the rail sneak up. And I look back to last year, we would have absolutely crushed the Belmont last year if Gronkowski doesn't come straight up the rail. It opens up like the Red Sea, and he sneaks up there to get second and runs my tickets over because I don't have him on any ticket. That won't happen to me this year.
I don't know what was worse, that happening or the dumb look on Gronk's face after that happened.
Well, Gronk always has a dumb look on his face. But, he's one of the greatest tight ends to ever play the game, but he's never going to win any look intelligent award.
I'm just giving it. Gronk's the best, man. I'm not but the dude, just watching him, how happy he was that his horse, his name came into second, and we're sitting here looking at our tickets like, what just happened? It was kind of like one of those surreal moments. So that's pretty much what I was talking about. Well, you answered my question about how you're going to attack this race. Are you going to do any horizontals as well?
Yeah, I'll be, working the race. I'll try to look at the race before that and lead up to some of the races because you're going to get, the inflated pools you always do on these Triple Crown races. Maybe do some pick threes, pick fours leading into the Belmont. And then, of course, I'll be hammering exactas and trifectas into Belmont as I always do. And I'm going to have a pretty good wager on Tacitus to win, unless his odds go down too low. If too many people jump on Tacitus, what I want to see is like the co-favorite price between these two horses, and then that's a good number for me to bet the horse to win. If I can get that close to $560 and above win ticket price, I think Tacitus is worth a very good wager. It's on the wins end of it.
Well, there you go. And real quickly, where can our listeners check for the live odds at the track? Do they post them on the website?
They will do some updates. Generally, you won't see those until Saturday, and then actually, everybody will be tweeting them out, myself included, updates leading up to the race of what the odds are. So that's another plug to follow me on Twitter. You can do that at Marco in Vegas. I'll be sending out, a lot of stuff. And on race days, too, a lot of times I'll send out some free picks on the earlier races on my Twitter account. So check it out for a follow on Saturday. And then, of course, where to find me as far as if you want my actual betting strategies, the way that we do it, Kev. I always have that betting sheet where it says exactly what I'm doing to a detail. You can't screw it up. The only thing got screwed up was the guy picking them the last two legs of the Triple Crown. But we give you the wagers just like I'm doing them, and I'm there at the window firing away with you. And if you want those, you can check those out at wagertalk.com.
Well, there you go. And that's at Marco in Vegas. You can follow him. No worries about your last couple races. I'm sure everyone's still happy with that $8,000 profit that they made just last year at the Kentucky Derby, thanks to Wager Talk and Marco D'Angelo. Well, Marco, we're out of time, but thank you so much for giving us this information about the Belmont Stakes. If you guys want any of Marco's plays, please visit wagertalk.com. Marco, Have a blast this weekend. Fix that air conditioner so you stay cool, and go get some winners, my man.
All right. Well, you know the old phrase when a guy's at the